I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This game's going to be dead. This game is going to be dead for a while. This game will be dead for probably 3 to 6 months. I don't think we're getting content. This is called my blunt and honest take on Escape from Tarkov.
Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about Escape from Tarkov and where we're at with this wipe, and some comments I've been seeing on social media that are very similar to ones that I've seen in the past. And since there's a lot of new people in the Escape from Tarkov community, or there has been over the years, I want to explain on
I'm a professional, I swear,
in the future. So we are currently over 4 months into the recent Escape from Tarkov patch that introduced the map Streets of Tarkov, among other things, including the new audio system, which is probably the most criticized new feature or change to the game in quite some time. And with all the recent updates over the last few months and the ones that are going to be coming out in the future, as we can see in the timeline.
So here's the timeline here. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This game's going to be dead. This game is going to be dead for a while. This game will be dead for probably 3 to 6 months. I don't think we're getting content. That's what I think is going to happen. But it
was just released by Battlestate Games. There is a lot of work that needs to be done.
Oh, huge amount of work.
The sound profile better.
It's insane.
Probably one of the biggest issues that players have with the game right now.
It was invisible players. It was the biggest issue was invisible players. Hands down, we were just, it was the word, like, it was unplayable. But we also had invisible players and sound issues. Now we have sound issues plus the other issues,
other than maybe cheating and optimization. And with the new patch brought some exciting new
optimization, including desync.
New things into the community. Lots of players that are checking out the game for the very first time. New content creators and streamers seeing all the hype with Twitch drops, and they want in on some of the action.
There really is a lot of new players that are coming into the game. Like look at like Riley Armageddon, for example. She just got here and is loving Escape from Tarkov. I see new players come in all the time, just super excited. And I'm over here, sitting over here, been here for 5 years, and I'm like, I don't have the same enthusiasm you do, but I'm happy that you're excited. I said earlier, I said that the game's gonna be dead for 3 to 6 months. If they actually fix these issues, totally worth it. These issues have got to get fixed for this game to not die in the next 2 years, period. People, the old player base is jaded. Like the people that have been around for 3 to 5 years, 3 to 6 years, all the streamers that I know, because remember, I've been around this scene since 2017. All the streamers I know are fed up with Tarkov. They've gone from being promoters to detractors of the game, which it does in cycles, by the way. I've seen this. I've been around for years and years, man. It goes hype, no hype, hype, no hype, disappointment, hype, no hype, disappointment. And then people go, they still haven't fixed this problem, and it becomes a joke, and then they start to dump on the game. Their friends start dumping on the game. And then the morale leaves the room. And then you have certain blunders like the Battlestate Games banning a bunch of content creators, right? And not explaining why. And the DMs being leaked of them basically being very unprofessional about the whole thing. So, you know, Battlestate has also, as a team, done things that have made it worse, where if they just didn't do those things, we would have been all right. People go into the wipe, they get optimism, like, oh, the game's going to be good, I can't wait. And then they get there, and it's just the same old problems, and they get a little bit more resentful. They get a little bit more hopeless. And this is what's killing the game. The long-term resentment against the game is killing the game. It's cancerous. This video blew up Escape from Tarkov. This video single-handedly blew up Escape from Tarkov. Literally. But this video blew up Escape from Tarkov when there was a backdrop of a bunch of other resentment and drama that preceded this video. So basically you had this big bubbling cauldron of like anger and resentment towards this game, towards the devs, a bunch of drama happening behind the scenes. And then this video comes out and it just explodes. And any morale left in the game at the time this video came out was just like a vacuum in this place. Sucked out.
That showcase that there are in fact just as many cheaters as people are assuming, in fact maybe even more, and that Battlestate Games may not be doing enough about it. And
So the truth is, his 60% stat, I don't think we should take as like hard metric here, because it's just not like, it's just not scientific enough. But it definitely, that video showed that there's a significant cheating problem in this game. But if you've been playing this game, you already know this.
I encourage the developers to not only acknowledge the video, but then showcase how many people that are actually being banned, and implement a system that whenever you report somebody that actually ends up being banned, you're going to get notified of that actually happening.
And that's happened for me. I've gotten a notification that a guy I reported on Factory was banned, and that's a really, really cool system. But I think that in order for the goodwill of that new system, it's going to take time for people to log back in, realize that's a feature. It's going to take time to repair the damage that's been done with people feeling like the integrity of the matches that they play is compromised.
Happening. And although at the very beginning, whenever the video was released, I wasn't overly optimistic about the success that it might have,
right,
or the impact, I was proven to be wrong, and it obviously encouraged the developers to speak out about this,
right,
and address some of these concerns. So at the end of the day, it had a positive impact.
Right.
And as everything calms down, the wipe cycle levels out, the viewership numbers on Twitch and YouTube go back to normal, people are back to complaining about the game being dead.
There's no hype left.
All of its issues.
There's no hype left to talk about.
How does this keep happening?
Right, because there's the excitement of the patch. Oh, Streets of Tarkov's coming out. We're all excited. This is great. Streets of Tarkov comes out. It's buggy. It's its performance is terrible. I can't even ADS scope without losing like 3/4 of my frames. The game is unplayable if I use a scope on Streets. Even right now, 4 months after the patch dropped with Streets in it.
Every 60 to 90 days, the game seems to die time after time.
Yeah, it's continually reborn.
It would be better
it dies, reborn, dies.
Inertia wasn't added. Complaining that the players are too fast, the players are too slow, the soft skills are too OP.
Hit reg sucks right now. Look, he's not even looking at him. He's not even looking at him. I have so many instances where this happens, where they are not even looking at me and I fall over dead. That you can't have a good game experience when this happens. You don't feel good about the game. You just get pissed. This game's too hard for bugs like this to exist and people to enjoy it. Like, the game by itself is already a nut punch, you know?
No. This is just going to be the normal phase of Escape from Tarkov until the next update is close. And it seems to be the next update will not bring a wipe.
Yeah.
That's just from my perspective. And it's going to be a while until we get anything significant in terms of content. With this wipe, I decided to make my primary focus unlocking Lightkeeper, which is the new in-game trader that you can't trade with
Which
yet,
I did.
Which is kind of funny. You can accept missions, but he doesn't actually have anything to offer.
It's so underwhelming, but this is the first iteration of them. And I remember Nikita talking about how they're going to add more content for Lightkeeper after, like with the coming patches. So this will be a really cool feature, but right now, I don't even think it's worth grinding out. You can just watch the YouTube video and you're going to get the entire experience.
Other than giving you military technology whenever you complete some missions.
And the crafting book.
But I've been playing the game long enough that any sort of in-game interaction with an NPC that is just other than just shooting them is something that I wanted to experience. So I made it my #1 goal, instead of just getting the cap container for the 12th, 13th, I don't know how many times I've gotten Kappa, but you get the idea. And I was actually able to unlock Lightkeeper without actually cheesing it, which I felt was more rewarding, because it's, in my opinion, it's just kind of weird to see everybody get so excited about sharing their achievements of obtaining Kappa and then unlocking Lightkeeper. And then,
did you hear it? The Canadian raising about. Anyways.
And if you ask them, hey, did you actually do the missions legitimately? And they would say no. That's like, I don't know, celebrating that you got the Stanley Cup, but you only got to just hold it for the day and you didn't play for the team. It just doesn't have the same impact or satisfaction, at least to me personally. Wipe, everybody is scurrying and running and rushing down the new content as quick as possible.
It's literally a speed run.
The fastest YouTube video, the first person to unlock something. And funny enough, unintentionally, I was one of those people. So this wipe, I was actually, to my knowledge, the first person to cross the bridge onto Lightkeeper's Island.
So, does chat remember how long it took me to get from 0 to 42? I did a 0 to 42 streamathon. I pushed my limits, grinding out the game 15 hours a day, literally playing the game and sleeping. That's it. Can anybody tell me in the chat how long it took me to get from 0 to 42? I'll give you a hint. The answer's on my Twitter.
And press the button. The only thing is, I didn't have the recorder. I didn't have the transcoder. So I hit the big.
This was actually bugged at the beginning of the patch.
Great. I win the big prize of being the first loser, I guess.
Yeah, so he goes over there and nothing happens.
Since the Escape from Tarkov, there's always been a 3 to 4 month period where the game was really active.
They expanded assessment, by the way.
The game was pretty dead.
I literally boycotted doing assessment.
This game has a problem where it has a 90 to 120 day life cycle at its best.
100%.
And then player numbers taper off.
No, I mean, yes, he's being generous. It's like 60 to 90. It's like 40 to like 70 day life cycle.
Quite significantly. Actually, you can make the argument that after the first 30 to 45 days, there's probably less than half of the player population that is still sticking with it.
Thank you, Deadly, because that's exactly the argument I just made.
And why is that? Well, just to point out the obvious, people like playing Escape from Tarkov when the playing field is fair and everybody is starting from ground zero.
Nobody wants to run up in the level 6 armor, level 5, level 6 armor.
We're all doing missions
with level 3 armor or like a pocket and a pistol.
Maybe unlocking a trader faster than some of your friends or competitors, so you get access to some of the new weapons and equipment, which gives you a slight edge, feel more fun because not everybody has maxed soft skills, making them run around at a speed in which the servers can't keep up because the desync. And
for the love of God, just remove strength and endurance until desync gets fixed. I have max strength and endurance, and it's just ridiculous. Like the client sync is so bad.
And then also, not everybody is running the best meds, and they have weird ammunition and weapons that are not laser beam,
PSO, GZH, and an M9A3. That's what you got. Chad's got MP7, 40-round magazines, APSX, level 5 armor, face shield. Now, that's the extreme example. Average players probably rock level 4 armor.
HK416s with dudes that are just not even aiming their gun, spraying 60-round magazines, and acting like they're a god in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Guns with 0 recoil while rocking Class 5 face shields and Class 6 body armors, going up against players that can't even penetrate your body armor. Using a weapon that doesn't require you to really compensate for the recoil at all.
Leg meta is the answer. Fast leveling, getting Magnum Buck, and leg meta is the answer.
All using ammunition that negates the body armor effects of your enemies. That's some real skillful stuff right there. When the majority of the player base feels like that is the enemies that they're going up against consistently, the fun fades away fast.
This is
one of the biggest reasons.
Literally what I was just saying. People are like, I have to deal with the bullshit in the game, and I'm outclassed. Maybe if the game worked perfectly, then it would be like, okay, that's fine.
Why the gunfights are so good, and then they quickly taper off and become rather lame. Now,
the time to kill early game makes it so interesting.
The majority of the enemies will average out, and you'll get some decent fights. But in the current state of the game, especially if you go to any location with high value loot during prime time, especially labs, this is the type of stuff that you're going to be encountering. And one of the reasons why a lot of players don't enjoy those types of maps. They're not necessarily playing the game they signed up for. They're just jumping into a completely different experience where the fastest player with the lowest recoil weapon that shift W's around a right cheek
with the best ammo, 2 tabs you.
And that's what frustrates people. Now, here's a counterpoint and part of the problem with Escape from Tarkov. Using this equipment is extremely fun. Winning in Tarkov is awesome.
It's addictive. It's the highest of the highs.
Everybody wants to win, so that is why you use the best armor, you use the best weapons, you use the best ammo available to you. The more you play, the more...
Tarkov's only fun when you win. Now, I'm not saying that some people can't have enjoyment, like when they play with friends and they lose, like they can still enjoy the time they spend with their friends. Tarkov's only fun when you win. And when you feel like you lost due to nonsense, that's when you get really mad and really resentful of the game. And that's why the player base disappears.
The more money you make, the more accessible you have with the higher level traders, and your survival capabilities increase significantly, especially if you're playing with a couple other people that can back you up or hide your gear if you die. It's fun, right? So you have an issue where the gunfights are at their best when nobody really has anything. But having
oh,
gear
come
is
on, Ollie.
extremely fun.
Let's
but
go.
If too many people have the gear, it's no longer fun.
Right.
So it's the problem that Tarkov currently faces. Now, years ago, I mentioned this in probably a very similar video. I may not have been the first person to suggest this because it is not an original idea. I know other people have made videos on this exact same idea.
Right.
Probably lately, I suspect, considering the current climate in Escape from Tarkov. And no, I have not watched those videos, so I don't know if I'm copying somebody or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. Tarkov needs an escape prestige system.
Yeah, I think the idea was floated to have different colored kappas. There was an idea that was presented to me, which was that the kappa container should let you store anything in it. Like literally anything. And this gives people more of a reason to grind for kappa, because right now it's just an extra row, right? But like kappa should be bestowed upon you when you prestige. Just my thought.
And at least initially, help the issue, creating incentives where players can actually quote unquote escape to manually reset their accounts for some sort of reward, either a better hideout, access to different traders, access to unique cosmetics. Think about how many people actually farmed Killa 100 times just to get a tracksuit they would never use. I think that would be a really good start for Battlestate Games to focus on ways on extending the patch.
Does anybody actually clap Sturman 25 times or whatever for the quest? Like, nobody does that.
And also creating additional avenues to maybe provide some of these prestiges or escape earlier on in the game, where people don't feel like they need to play for like hundreds of hours to actually get some of this cool stuff. Maybe people can carve their own path in Escape from Tarkov based off of whether or not they actually want to leave the territory and return to have a slightly different experience.
Right. There's got to be something different about it.
Would just be making a ghillie suit a prestige item,
right,
where you actually have to get to like level
right,
45,
right,
leave Escape from Tarkov,
right,
level back up to 45, and you would actually unlock something unique and cool. Or unique dog tags, where your dog tag is gold or platinum or something customized. People love melee weapons. Melee isn't even that usable in Escape from Tarkov, but people love getting the taiga and the military sword. There's also plenty of players that choose to not wear a helmet, just to wear a cool backwards hat or some sort of camo hat that they find makes their character stand out amongst the crowd. Maybe even unique character models, where instead of just choosing the initial 5, you can unlock some really interesting ones, or maybe even boss faces or something.
Tattoos. Tattoos. Prestige tattoos. Prestige face tattoos. I'm telling you, man. Prestige neck tattoos.
There's lots of different little things that you can do to incentivize the players to reset their characters themselves within the period of the patch to unlock cool things that make them stand out amongst the crowd. And you can go on and on about ideas, even in the hideout, different traders, stash capacity, different prices at the traders, different barters that are available, maybe unique extractions that are available if you've prestiged a certain number of times, different scavs that might be available to you.
A new trader that is a inksmith that only takes payment in prestige currency. Okay? So this new trader is like just an all-around badass tattoo artist, and he'll give you ink, and you can have a certain amount of ink on your PMC and customize. Do you know how many people would go nuts over this?
At this point, you get the idea. I'll stop rambling on. It could be done with a little bit of creativity. And there's one thing as well that many other people have been expressing. This isn't my original idea. In fact, this is something I've changed my mind on. If you go back and watch videos 4 or 5 years ago, you will probably hear me say the complete opposite of what I'm about to say right now. Strength and endurance suck.
Yeah.
Those skills alone affect the game more than I think we're willing to admit.
Right.
Especially whenever the netcode on the servers has a very difficult time keeping up with the speed in which players move, specifically around right peak corners and even left shift Ws. It is part of the reason why fights feel so much more fun in the beginning of a wipe and feel more lame at the end of the wipe. Players are moving far too quickly, and then also the loot that they're currently wearing and the loot that they're carrying has basically no effect because the soft skills are too high level.
Right.
And the developers themselves reduce the amount of effects that these body armors have on the characters because people were kind of complaining.
Right.
But I think
But now the client and the server cannot
backpacks and the gear
meet each other because you're running so fast.
The effect on the ergonomics has been reduced, but you have the soft skills no longer contribute to the movement speed of the character and leave that up to the gear that they wear, their current health, and the stimulants that they use in the game. And hey, the more that you level up strength, sure, you can carry more gear, but I think it can't be crazy because somebody that's got a massive attack 2 backpack that is chock full of heavy pieces of equipment, even if they're a higher level player, they should have their movement speed reduced.
Of course. I remember when you could carry around everything. It was ridiculous. You could have backpacks inside of 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 backpacks. And instead of all of these backpacks, right, that you magically stuffed into each other, you've got like 3 sets of high-level armor and 3 rifles on you that are decked out, and you're running around like you've got nothing. It's crazy. Back in the day, you brought in 1 magazine, 1 extra magazine, and you stuck it up your butt and it was full. And this is because all you had to do was drag the ammo over to the empty magazine, instant reload. There was no reason to take magazines. There were no packing animations, quote unquote. We don't even have animations now, but now we have this little time slot thing when you drop one in. Throwing hooks? Dude, I think